All right, we are back, everyone. Welcome back to another Solid Report. I am your host, Sam Badawi, aka Samsolid, aka your boy Yeezy. All right, anyways, let's get right into it. Woo! Everyone's getting ready to go on the Wolf channel, right? Like a lot of you guys are learning. I love it. I love the fact that you guys are learning. I'm gonna post the link to the show on the Wolf YouTube in case you're on my channel, but I think a lot of you guys are starting to get it, which is great because I'm not going to be posting on my channel soon. What's going on Midwest? Man, this guy's always in the clutch all the time. I appreciate you, Midwest. I appreciate you. But I don't know if the market appreciates UNH right now. I mean, this is not a good stock right now. Whoops. Hold on. Boom, boom. Yeah, this is not. It is not a pleasant stock right now. Okay, is that thing fixed? What's going on here? Fool? All right, hold on. Yes, sir. Go on the Wolf channel. That's what I just shared in there. Oh, you got both lists, man. You're showing some love, man. I really appreciate that. All right, so we got a pretty, I don't know, it looks bullish on the hood, right? Above the hood, it looks pretty bullish, but under the hood, I mean, it's pretty bullish under the hood unless you're a UNH bag holder, but I'm sorry, shareholder. But I mean, if you really believe in UNH, if you really believe this company is going to come back and you bought it in a low 220s, low 225s, and you really think it's going to come back, then you should be excited about this, right? But if a stock goes down, right? I mean, no one really is excited when their stock goes down. Like, it kind of sucks, right? People say, oh, I'm happy to buy more if it goes down. Okay, maybe if like you weren't the full size, whatever it is. But I mean, I don't think anyone is really happy that the stock is 20% down. I don't know. Maybe some people really like their stock down 20%. Me personally, if my stock was down 20%, I would not be happy about it one bit. But I mean, other than UNH, Qs are up 95 basis points. SPY is up 50 basis points, and that's about to hit a new all-time high. I think we got new all-time highs in the house. Yeah, we got new all-time highs, baby. We got new all-time highs. Bad day to be a Dow Jones investor, but to be completely honest, I don't think there's too many Dow Jones investors up in here. I think a lot of you guys are tech-heavy, and the market is very tech-heavy, especially when it comes to a day like today. I mean, Amazon is up 2.5%. Let's go. So Amazon is coming up into earnings right where they opened the day after the previous earnings. I mean, unless like things fall off a cliff, I'm expecting Amazon to post like a 20% for AWS. And that's a very high margin business. You guys know the bull case with Amazon. I am bullish on Amazon. It is a big part of my portfolio. And I really think that the market is not understanding it. As remember, Amazon owns a lot of Anthropic, and they own it pretty early. So that and its own is a very bullish take right there. Because we remember what happened in 2021 when Amazon had a massive stake in Rivian. Now, Rivian was in the hundreds back then, so it's clearly not there today. But if you go back to 2021, Amazon was killing it, right? And there was a whole thing where it's like, oh, they own a lot of Rivian. Rivian like went through the roof, right? Rivian went all the way up to let's see this over here. Rivian IPO'd around $178, and that was in November 21, probably the worst time to IPO. But if you remember, Amazon got a lot of good news around that time, right? So this is like where Rivian went IPO. I mean, you know, Anthropic is a much better company than Rivian, in my opinion. It's obviously part of the secular trend. At the time in 2021, EVs were the secular trend, but today it is clearly AI. And Anthropic is coming pretty close to OpenAI. In fact, they just released this well, not they released this information today, but in fact, hold on, I'm just going to pull up the tweet over here that Ahmed posted earlier. According to Financial Times, let me just share this screen. Yeah, according to Financial Times, oh, am I sharing the right thing? Okay, cool. We have Anthropic is doubling their fundraising plans from 10 billion to 20 billion per Financial Times. This will value the company at 350 billion as investors' interest is now 5 times the original size of the round, right? So it's supposed to be a $4 billion round, ended up being a $20 billion round. And they went from 1 billion ARR to $9 billion last year. This company is growing very quickly. And I would even argue, considering the recent sentiment we've seen, OpenAI has really catered to the consumer, right? So $20 a month, you get access to GPT 5.2, you get access to GPT-O and all that nice strawberry stuff, whatever it is. But for Anthropic, this is really more catered toward not only the consumer, but also enterprise, right? We're talking about building code much faster. You don't have to be knowledgeable in coding whatsoever. Anthropic will do a lot of that for you. And when you apply things in the enterprise, those are very big contracts you're signing. And Amazon owns, is it 20%? I think it's 50. I think it's 10 to 15% of Anthropic, but still a good chunk of Anthropic, and they invested in it very early in the game. So kudos to those early investors who were in Anthropic. I unfortunately did not get an opportunity to. I know Chamath and his crew did. Was it Chamath that got a bit early in that one? No, I think it was something else, and then they got acquired. It was a company that went to NVIDIA. Hold on. Grok, that's right. GROQ. That was the one with Schmott. But anyways, guys, I mean, the market is definitely bullish today, and it's great to see. It's great to see because we've just been chopping left and right. In my opinion, I think we're still in a range here, but we definitely look a lot better. We still have this little channel that we've basically been in since early September. Kind of broke into this channel, got rejected around October 10. This is the weekly chart. Let me go to the daily chart. Kind of been bouncing back and forth here, and it looks like we're kind of coming up out of this channel. So we really need to test it, and I think we're going to find out in earnings, right? We're gonna have mega caps report tomorrow. If I pull up the earnings hub, the earnings hub over here. We have Meta reporting tomorrow, ServiceNow reporting tomorrow, which is a big name. I know a lot of people are interested in that one. I'll give my input on that one possibly later on. I'm going to be on that stream tomorrow with a Couch Investor as well as Jose. We're all going to be watching and listening to the Tesla earnings call, most likely. Meta is reporting, Microsoft is reporting, IBM's reporting, and a bunch of other companies. Lam Research is reporting. That's a big one too, and that's actually at a wow, that's already a $300 billion market cap. That's insane. And then Thursday, Apple's reporting. And then next week, we have, of course, the other big guys reporting. We have Google, AMD, Amazon is on Thursday next week. Iron is on Thursday next week, which I'm probably going to stream as well. Might end up doing that with Amin as well. Reddit. There's a lot of, what is it? Oops, my bad. I was going to look at this one right here. Is this? Oh, that's Bloom. Wow, Bloom Energy is reporting next week too. Wow, that's going to be a big one. So it is definitely not going to be a quiet next couple of weeks. And we're literally coming onto the pinnacle of earnings 4 times a year, right when the Qs are hitting the upper end of the channel near its all-time highs, right? The all-time closing high. I usually like to go by all-time closing highs whenever it comes to the ETFs, because these aren't futures markets. They're not traded 24/7. I mean, yeah, you have the overnight markets, but futures markets are really the ones that are traded a lot. Yeah, what's going on, Mr. Evans, sir? Mr. Stock Market News. How are you, sir? Hello, Mr. Weed. Oh, okay. Wow, I didn't see that one coming. But all right, hello, what up? No, all right. The feds are listening, so I don't want to talk about that one. But the all-time closing high on the Qs was 635.77. We still have less than 1% to go, but arguably, like, this has just been bullish for a long time. And I went over these charts before for the last couple of weeks. Honestly, I got a little bit bearish over here, but I held the nose and I bought the dip. And in fact, it was this day right here when it was pretty clear that the market was not going to go lower, because you saw a lot of strength in high beta. Whenever you see high beta leading the market up, that's usually a pretty good sign that risk is still in the market. And we didn't exactly have that massive breakdown that we all saw. And then what we saw this week, well, a lot of these mega caps coming back. You had Meta coming back, crawling up below the moving averages. You had Amazon come back. You had Microsoft come back, which is a very big one, $4 trillion company. You had Apple come back. Google has been afloat in the sky the whole time, which is great. Tesla's reporting earnings tomorrow. Imagine if Tesla goes to $500. We're easily in all-time high territory on the Qs. I mean, you know, barring any events, you know, we're going to have to wait until NVIDIA earnings, of course, for the behemoth, the AI godfather, the king, the ruler, the Pope, and all that stuff you want to say about Jensen Huang, who in fact is just having the time of his life in China right now. He is not. If you ask anyone, hey, do we need to worry about an AI bubble? And you look at Jensen Huang, like the dude is not. He's not concerned. I think he's lived through many, many bubbles we've had so far, and I personally don't think this is ending anytime soon, and I don't think he does either. But you know, it's not really in his best interest to really say if he really thinks it's ending or not. If he does, I doubt it though. But yeah, we'll see what's going on. What's going on, Dividend Degenerates? What's going on, Caroline? How are you? All right. I don't know what that means, but yeah, Midwest, you're the boss right there. Stock market news. Evan, how are you, sir? All right. So let's get to, oh, Mimi, I forgot to say hello to you too. How are you? All right. So let's continue on with the show. We kind of looked at the markets a little bit. There was also another name over here that was, that's not really doing too well today, which has been a very hot name in the sector. Also, advertising has been very hot in the sector. And I'm not necessarily talking about AppLovin, because AppLovin is actually doing pretty decent today, but very well off of its all-time highs. It's suffered through multiple short reports in the last few weeks. Latest one is talking about money laundering, which is pretty insane. I mean, it's just they're always taking stabs at this company. Nothing ever sticks. I mean, we'll see if that actually comes true or not. But, I mean, Wall Street is definitely a big fan of this one. The only problem is that it's coming down here to the 200-day moving average. Another name that is getting hit pretty hard today, let's see if it's still getting hit here, is Reddit. This thing is down 8% today. 8%. That is definitely not a small move down at all. Oh, wow. Booking.com is back over $5,000. Congratulations. Yeah, this is not a good move at all for Reddit. I mean, it might be a good move if you're looking to buy the dip in this thing. Maybe this is your opportunity. But for me personally, I don't think there really is a clear indicator as to why this stock is down. In fact, they actually did get some good news lately, but there was an analyst that, hold on a second here. Let me just bring it up right now for Reddit. Did I already? No, I didn't save it in my notes. Interesting. I didn't save it in my notes. Hey, Sam, why don't you save your notes? I don't know why. I'm just saving notes, but let me pull it up over here real quick. And okay, here we go. So, oh, no, I'm going to share this one. All right, so we have Reddit over here. Yeah, it's basically trading on the same place where I took the screenshot this morning. Reddit's down either due to the EU increasing scrutiny on social media platforms for minors, or because Cleveland Research flagged a potential slowdown in advertising revenue this year. Either way, the stock's below $200, right? So you have all this news coming out that isn't exactly good for Reddit, apparently, which I'm about to play a clip from video on CNBC, which is like the other side of it, but the stock is still down. Anyway, so I posted this one yesterday saying OpenAI basically gets 40% of its AI facts from Reddit, right? So this is just as much as Wikipedia. It is the contribution comes from the public, right? There's no one like fact checking a lot of this stuff 24/7. Someone can post something in there, and yeah, there's a lot of people looking at the boards and whatever, but like it doesn't come in the form of Wikipedia. Wikipedia actually gets modified in real time, but at the same time, like this isn't like high level research, or could be, but a lot of it's 40% is coming from Reddit, right? So I think the question that Wall Street's kind of having here is like, you know, if you have a lot of these other, in my opinion, this is what I think is happening, because Reddit, they have amazing profitability. They're growing pretty quickly. They're expanding across the entire world as you get more of that smartphone penetration and internet around the whole world. And I've used Reddit many times to, I don't know, figure out some issues that I'm having, maybe with the house or plumbing, whatever it is. I've used it for a lot of plumbing, surprisingly. I don't use it for stocks. I've never used Reddit for stocks. I know there was that whole Wall Street bets thing a long time ago, and I certainly don't use it for stocks. It does actually come into good play when you're looking up like some research or some news that's possibly coming out, because there's a lot of boards and everything talking about like ASTS, for example, that I actually did find some stuff in ASTS in there, but always trust but verify, or I guess you don't need to trust, but you always got to verify either way. But maybe that's the scare here, right? So when you have these LLMs able to scrape data in real time across multiple platforms and search engines and so on, Does that mean that Reddit is going to be not serving as many ads as it's supposed to? Because that's really what its moat was coming from, right? It's serving a lot of ads to these people that are going on Reddit to talk to each other, and the user growth is increasing. But as LLMs become more popular, is the market front running that scare that Reddit might be in trouble later on? And let's go ahead and see what CNBC has to say as far as the Reddit news this morning. Intercontinental Exchange launches a new tool with Reddit to use conversations as market signals. So I'm going to go ahead and play this right here for you guys.
Today on the launch, Intercontinental Exchange President of Fixed Income and Data Services, Chris Edmonds. Chris, appreciate this very much. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
It sounds fascinating. I mean, there's so much intelligence, or at least arguably insight, that's in there, and you got to harness it somehow. How long has this been in the works?
It's been a few months. The biggest thing is, in a world where everything is moving at a greater frequency and a higher velocity, you don't know which one of those you're going to get caught in at any moment in time. So being able to process the level of data and the sheer volume of data into something that's usable has really been a challenge facing the industry. So for us, by applying both AI and our data science capabilities and having access to Reddit's massive, very deep conversations going on across their platform is really what led to this innovation here and what we're proud to put out into the market today.
Can you give some examples of tools or triggers that you can pull and what you get in return?
It'll be a lot of user-defined. We don't determine trading strategies at the end of the day. What we want to do is empower them. So if you have a trading strategy on your desk every day, you're using our data in order to make decisions of when to engage or to not engage, depending on what the subject may be. We're giving you that raw, ingestible format that you can take in there, and that way you're not guessing whether or not you got the right last headline, but you're actually able to see that signal and the sentiment along the way. I'll give you one example. We started seeing stuff about the Japanese yen before Christmas in the data. As soon as the snap election happened was announced on January 19th, we saw the signal become a sentiment and immediately go negative along the way. You're going to be able to see that entire trend as you use the service on a go-forward basis.
Who is the you? Like who are you selling this to? Is this for institutional investors?
It is for institutional capital markets. That'll be the primary. That's who ingest our data today in all forms of fashions along the way. It'll be open to everyone, but it's primarily catered to someone who has a very sophisticated platform and program of transactions that they're attempting to manage the risk on, and they want to put that in one more confirmation bias in their trading strategy.
I wonder if it feeds the view that, the institutional investor is going to sort of take advantage of the little guy, right, by being now a few steps ahead of them and try to bet against them.
I would say it's probably more of a democratization, Sarah, on that, because now everyone will be able to see that. It's so widespread, the amount of data that people are looking at different times. So you and I may see the same data, we may see it at a different time, but for very different reasons along the way. I actually think it brings more investors together around the same level of information to express the view that is most important to their portfolio.
From a tech standpoint, Chris, is this hard to do? Is this a challenge? And are there innovations that's going to let you do even more in the next 5 years?
It is a challenge. I think managing data across the board has been a challenge because there's so much more of that. My earlier comment about both frequency and velocity, there's so much moving around at the time. What do you do to capture the right information at the right time? Certainly AI has been helpful to us as data science has become a bigger part of the trading community along the way. It has been for years. People were buying satellite images of Walmart parking lots and things of that nature. This is sort of the next evolution in that. The more that we can get that efficient and the more users begin to incorporate this into their trading strategies, they will get better at asking us, how do we provide that next level of data to them? So I do.
All right. So this is kind of interesting. So what they're basically saying is that they're partnering with Reddit to give signals ahead of time for the market. And his example was the Japanese yen issue that happened, and that they were able to see the signal well before the incident actually happened. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but ICE is not the ICE that is talked about, the federal agents. Like, no opinion with that one. Like, we're not going to get into that in the stream. It is an actual company that's traded publicly in the markets. Let's actually take a look at their chart over here. And it was pretty fun. I saw QCap on Twitter mentioned it the other day. I have forgotten. ICE is involved with the stock market and trading futures and stuff, mostly commodities and FX, but they've been on a tear for a long time. I think a lot of this really comes from the fact that people are looking forward to making decisions on the market in real time versus doing a lot of overnight exchange moves. But specifically, as retail gets a lot more access to like non-equities or things outside of equities, this becomes of more of interest. But arguably, like, this company has been doing pretty well for a long time. And it's like this stock does not go down. I mean, as long as the stock market exists, this stock will pretty much always go up. And here they are, they're trading near an all-time high. Interesting chart too. Wow, I actually should look into that one. But what they're basically saying is that they're able to capture market signals through the use of Reddit. Look, alpha only lasts for so long. It's not going to last forever, right? Because once a lot of once a lot of institutions capture the alpha of a move, it starts to lose its dominance, right? It starts to lose its positive effect because everyone's doing it at a certain point, right? So think about poly markets when they first came out. Like, there's a lot of arbitrage that people could play over there, where it's like, if you kind of knew an event was happening based on the stock market, you can get ahead of it in poly market if you missed it in the stock market and capture it. But now there's so many algorithms hitting it out there that, well, what edge is there to use in poly markets anymore? You know, when you can just bet on stocks or something. Like, I'm sure, I don't think poly markets or prediction markets are going to last for a long time. I think that's been a huge trend lately. But I think it's probably going to die down sometime in the future, mostly because it's just going to become a commoditized industry, right? So everyone's going to start doing it. And in one way or another, it's going to get factored into, let's say, stocks in real time. And when they start doing that, then, well, what's the point in logging into Polymarket? You can just do it like right through your brokerage, right? So that's what Robinhood is doing. And eventually they're all going to start having, I know Webull has that too. Like, they're all going to start having it. And at a certain point, it's like everyone's doing it. It's no longer with who's doing it better, who's doing it more conveniently, where I don't need to download or create an account somewhere else, put some money somewhere else. I can just do it right in my app. And that's the reason why Robinhood is doing so well, is because they're able to bring that to the user. So we will see. We will see. Yeah. So I actually did not stop the stream on my channel. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again. If you are on the Solid Finance channel or the Sam Badawi channel, turn into the Wolf Financial. See you guys in a little bit. All right, so just move that over and turn it off there. All right, so what do we think about Reddit? What are our thoughts? Do we think Reddit is going to make new all-time highs anytime soon? Let me actually open up. Let me open up a vote over here. I'm gonna taste test this sucker right here. So let me try this out. Ooh, I opened up YouTube and I saw ABBA, some songs by ABBA. Yeah, my kids are like in love with ABBA for some weird reason. But hey, kudos, right? They like ABBA. I don't know if you guys ever heard of ABBA. They were a big group in the 70s and the 80s. They did Dancing Queen or Dancing Teen or Queen. I forgot the name of the song. They had a bunch of songs and stuff. So, all right, sorry, I'm an oldie. So what can I do? That's just how I roll. I'm trying to pull up and I'm trying to distract you guys while I try to bring this poll up. I don't know why I'm doing this, because it's the first time I've ever done it. For some reason, I think it's a good idea to do it right now. It's my first time, but hey, why not, right? There's always a first time for everything, and why not get all of that stage fright out of the way by just doing it in front of 50 people? Okay, so here we go. Let me put on the poll. Oh, geez, how do I do this thing? Here we go. Start a poll. Reddit bottom. All right, and then it's going to be a yes or no. Let's start the poll. I'll get that going. All right, so is Reddit going to bottom today? Yes or no? Go ahead and vote on that poll. In the meantime, we are going to continue on with the show. All right, so I mean, we talked a little bit about United Healthcare. I mean, this is definitely not a fun stock to own right now for a lot of people. And I touched on it earlier today, but I just didn't want to bring up this tweet that Amit posted as well. It's the second post I'm bringing up about Amit. Maybe you just post good stuff. I don't know. You guys should really follow Amit, to be completely honest. He posts a lot of information out there. So this is what it was like this morning. Let's actually see if UNH is still down on the day. I'm going to bring it up over here. I'm going to share it on my screen. Here we go. All right. UNH is, yeah, it's at the lows of day. And then we also have Humana as well. Humana is down. Wow. Humana is down 20%. That's crazy. Holy cow. Humana is trading at the same levels it was trading at not only last April, but also April 20. It is, wow. That's like a 60% haircut. Holy cow. What else is there? ELV. ELV is down 13% today. I did trade this before. It's actually trading higher than where I sold, but it's all good. I'm not going to try to chase this thing. CNC. CNC is down 10%. And Oscar, the beloved Oscar, is down 4% today. Back in the 15s, the low 15s. Actually, it went as low as $14 earlier today. That's crazy. I thought they were supposed to vote on that ACA extension. I guess that fell through the cracks. Wow. I'm sure when that comes up, the company's going to be just fine. But until then, pretty scary stuff, pretty scary stuff. DigitalOcean is pulling back a little bit here, but still up a lot on the day. And you have 12% on Cloudflare, which was above the 100-day moving average. So that's a pretty interesting move to see. I was actually surprised Cloudflare made that move today because it closed right on the 200-day moving average yesterday, and it just basically gapped up 11%. And those options were pretty expensive yesterday. But imagine if you bought call options in Cloudflare down here. Wow. You didn't even have to call the bottom and buy it over here. You still would have made it. That's why it's like you don't need to call the bottom or anything. I've talked about this ad nauseum many times, but it sure does look like software is dead again. That's what it looks like. I mean, you have ServiceNow pulling back here. You have software pulling back here. You have ServiceTitan back in the 90s. This is why I don't chase IPOs. I'll be a buyer of ServiceTitan if it comes down to like 50, 60 bucks. I would not buy it $90. I need a large margin of safety in this one. Maybe I'll jump into that one a little bit later on. Samsara IoT is down 4% today. GitLab is back down to 36s after that rumor that Anthropic was going to acquire them. Datadog's only at 1%. Oh, wow. Adobe is back under $300. I did not see that coming. Confluence being acquired by IBM, I believe. MongoDB still in the 400s. Not bad, not bad. Snowflake in the low 200s. CrowdStrike is up 1%. What else is new? This was something big today. So we have Rubrik basically making newer lows here today. This is not necessarily a new 52-week low, but it is a newer low. And this, I would say this bull flag is completely invalidated. This did look nice for a minute, but I'm very surprised that it pulled back here. And why is Rubrik down? Well, one of its largest competitors, Commvault, reported earnings this morning, gave really bad guidance. Commvault is down 30% and has not seen these levels since 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And this is a terrible looking chart. Can you imagine trying to buy the dip on Commvault and getting excited coming into earnings yesterday and you just got whammed with a 30% drawdown? Fair warning, Sentinel-1, okay? Like this is a bad chart. Don't go rummaging in the trash receptacle or the dumpster looking for software stocks, guys. Know what you own. If you are going to buy Sentinel-1, you better know what you own. I am not bullish Sentinel-1. I have not been bullish for a long time. The company's financial profile is not that great. And they are a pretty strong player when it comes to endpoint security management. But I'll tell you something. The bull case for Sentinel-1 is that they're going to get acquired, which if they do, then it's going to be at a premium, of course, but it's not going to be in like the $30 range. It's probably going to be like 23, 24 bucks. So you want to flip a penny, go ahead. But this is not one of those stocks where I'd say the floor is near because the floor can go floorer or lower. So never think that a stock can't go lower. Never think. Wow, Quantum is ripping today. What is going on with SkyT? Okay, that's up pretty decent today. Not bad. Making up for that. And the Qs are above 1%. Amazon is up 2.5%. Microsoft's up 2.5%. Microsoft's been on a crazy move lately. Meta is back in the mid 470s, which is good. So that's near the day. So I mean, we're going to be coming into earnings here, coming pretty nicely. No, I don't want to look at the RSI. All right, look at the RSI. I know I shouldn't have looked at the RSI. It always like screws things up for me. RSI. I have not used the RSI indicator in almost 6 months now. I'm RSI sober, and I don't want to use RSI because it does nothing but just cause problems in my life. RSI indicators break up families, breaks up marriages, causes divorces, and potentially cause a lot of issues for people. In other words, guys, don't use RSI as your number one leading indicator because nothing ever says that a stock is overbought or sold. Price action will tell you, price and volume will tell you whether a stock is oversold or overbought. RSI will just tell you from a relative perspective as it is, if it is, right? Relative perspective. So if the volume has been, or if the strength has been low recently, right? The relative strength will appear very strong, right? So if you have a big move like this, if you have a big move like this, after months and months of consolidation in the Qs, I'll bet you the RSI is around 70 or maybe 60 something. Okay, so it's around 60. Yeah, so it's not exactly the lowest RSI, but like, what is this? This doesn't tell you anything. I mean, like even back here, people were like super bearish the stock market because the RSI of the Qs was at 75. And then Hanyu had a little bit of a pullback over here, but then it continued to make new all-time highs after that. Like, don't use the RSI, guys. If anything, the RSI should tell you when you should not chase a stock, but it's not a sell signal. It is certainly not a sell signal, in my opinion. But all right, let's go back to the top. So we were talking about UNH. All right, so are metals the new black? There was actually, what's going on, Ticker Tat? Nice to see you, sir. What's going on? How are you, Letter? Everyone's heard of ABBA. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Money, money, money. All right, so I wanted to get a little bit into metals. Let me actually share the chart here because I have not looked at commodities today yet. Here it is. Let's take a look at commodities. All right, so we have silver. Wow, silver's back in the $100 range. You know how many people got excited about shorting silver yesterday? I mean, I thought it looked like a pretty decent short, but of course, I don't short parabolic stocks or commodities. Like, I just don't, right? And who knows, this thing could gap down or just drop in the last 10 minutes like it did yesterday. Who knows? But like, I'm not messing around with this, guys. Like, do yourself a favor, unless you're like a very experienced commodities trader, don't jump in this short bandwagon. Like, money, anyone ever told you that money is easy to make is wrong, right? Trading stocks is not easy, okay? And there's a reason why it's not easy, because I'll tell you something, if something looks too easy or something's too good to be true, there's a pretty good chance it's too good to be true, right? Textbook short, and look what happens right here, right? You get your face ripped off. Textbook short, and then you get your face ripped off. Textbook short, you get your face ripped off. It's like, why bother, right? So instead of looking at silver, you could have looked at Amazon and bought the dip. You could have looked at Meta and bought the dip. You could have looked at the Qs and bought the dip. You could have looked at a lot of other stocks. Why bother? Oh, wow. BMNR is back at like 29 bucks. What in the world? I don't believe it. I don't trust it. But I'll tell you something. It's when things get very bearish, that's when things start going up. People got pretty bearish at BMNR. That'd be very interesting. Speaking of which, Mr. Tom Lee had a thing to say about metals as well as crypto. Go ahead and play this clip for you guys. Actually, let's take a look at the YouTube channel real quick, see what the poll said. We had 62% of people said no for Reddit bottoming today. So I think we're in a pretty good consensus that Reddit is not going to bottom today. Pretty interesting. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. All 55 of you watching this channel, thank you very much. Really appreciate you guys. 35% said yes, Reddit is bottoming today. Well, it doesn't have to be today, but bottoming. 65% said no. So that is a consensus that Reddit is likely not going to bottom today. And we'll take a look at that in a little bit. So right now, we're going to play a clip from Mr. Tom Lee, BMNR chair, bull market icon for the last 3 years. Let's see what this gentleman has to say.
A lot of people are pointing to this and saying the dollar's collapsing and metals are soaring, and should they feel good about owning stocks in this environment, or you hold your nose? I mean, like, can you kind of just unpack for us what you think is going on here?
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I think metals is proving to be a real genuine asset class, because I think for many years, maybe people thought only gold bags should own gold. But now, especially the last 3 years, metals have, I think, proven to be a bit of a juggernaut. And it's hard to tell how much of it is geopolitical uncertainty, dollar and currency weakness versus dovish central banks. But maybe if it's all three, that explains why gold's done so well. I don't think that those are bad for equities, because if this is anticipating dollar weakness or more dovish moves by central banks, then it's good for asset prices. So I almost think the gold move could be sort of a glimpse into sort of risk appetite growing for stocks.
As a result of things like dollar weakness and everything else, right? This idea that you go into more riskier assets or ones that are diversified away from there. If you're going to look at that, though, with the dollar weakness intact, Kelly also mentioned the Mag 7 stocks and the slew of earnings we've got coming up. Weaker dollar has typically in the past, from a conventional wisdom standpoint, meant better for large multinational companies. It helps their overall revenue profile, especially outside the U.S. Is that still something that we want to look towards as a true tailwind for this market, other than just saying maybe risk assets are in vogue and we just want to play the AI trade ad nauseum for the rest of this year?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I think one of the big sort of real stories this year is earnings growth is accelerating. And that was because of onshoring, the tariff headwinds disappearing. But now if we have dollar weakness, I think it puts more upside to the earnings story. Investors aren't necessarily paying for that right now because multiples have been compressing, but I think it really helps anchor stocks. So between now and the end of the year, I think there can be a lot of reasons for speed bumps, but I think as we exit the year, the earnings story is anchoring, I'd say, upside to our 7,700 target.
Yeah, which is, I mean, we're
He is still bullish, my friends. He is still bullish.
starting to look at, we've seen one round number after another falling for gold and the likes, and you wonder if we're finally going to get back to talking about S&P 7,000 and Dow 50K and all of that. But so you're not worried there's going to be, kind of landmines hiding in the earnings reports or anything like that? Does the government shutdown matter? I mean, we just had one at the end of the year, and yet here we are with equities.
Yeah. In the short term, of course, shutdowns create uncertainty. And we just, like, as you said, went through the longest one. Those have all proven to be buying opportunities. But it's hard to ignore the fact that gold and silver are like sucking oxygen out of everything.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you do with? I mean, Carter Worth, for what it's worth, I want to know what all the technicians, what everyone thinks about this. He's now put out a note and saying sell all of it, the silver, right? Just sell all of it. I mean, it's up.
It's
15%
parabolic.
today.
It's parabolic.
Yeah,
and it's just in the last 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you know, like when you look at extensions like this, it's dangerous to fade it because you don't know how long it will go. But you're right. A parabolic move probably marks the end of the move, not the beginning of the move. So it's a good question of like timing. But it sure seems like commodities, especially precious metals, needs to have a place in people's portfolio.
All right. So, I mean, if you had like a 3% gold position back in 2024, you'd have double. If you had a 3% silver position back in 2024, you'd have a 15% position. It's not really one of those things we want to play call options on unless you're trying to conserve capital or unless you're in a trade, whatever. It's like commodities, in my opinion, are like crypto, right? You just put a small portion of portfolio in and you just forget about it, right? That's how I play crypto, unless I'm in a very short-term trade with it. But that's usually how I play crypto, and kind of makes sense for fund managers too. You never want to go overweighted, but the time to go overweight a lot of gold or silver was a long time ago. I don't think it's today. Do I think Meta is going to go up after earnings? If it wasn't over here, I probably would say so. But to be honest, I think the earnings is going to be good. It's just very hard to predict whether the stock will react positively or not. Because what do we know? We know they have 40% gross margins. We know they have about 40% net profit margins. They're already growing revenue pretty nicely, low double digits. They're part of the AI trend. The advertising is growing still. There's no reason why the stock shouldn't be at all-time highs. If NASDAQ's at all-time highs, it really is fear that they're going to lose profitability or lose some of their profitability. over to just pumping money out of the gutter, and also spending money on possibly an AI race they're going to lose, right? That's what the fear is. It's nothing to do with their financials or fundamentals. But I think once you see Meta go the other way as far as spending wise goes, which they've already pre-announced they're going to be cutting Reality Labs spending by 30%, you might get Meta at $750. Now, what that's going to happen after earnings, I don't know. Usually see, you always got to wait like a couple days after earnings to see what's going to happen. But you know, I would think that Meta is pretty undervalued over here. But I think the easy money on Meta has been made already. When it was around $600, we already moved like 10% plus off of a $1.7 trillion company. That doesn't come too often, but I think it has upside to go. The question is, how are you going to play it? Are you going to play it with call options? And if so, like, when does it expire? Are you going to play with shares? What's going to be the size of your position? Are there any other better opportunities on the table other than Meta? I personally think there are. One of them is Zeta today. I think Zeta is a really good opportunity today, but you have to have like a good long-term mindset and stomach volatility. Like Zeta can go down like 8% in one day. Meta doesn't do that unless it's like after earnings or something. So, you know, it depends on your risk profile. For me, if I didn't already have position in Zeta, I would add to Zeta. But we'll get into that one a little bit later on. That's actually not doing that good today, unfortunately, but things don't go up forever, guys. Arguably, it still has done pretty well in the last few weeks, even before this 20% pullback. So, yeah, make sure you know your own, everyone. Make sure you know what you own. All right, so I think that's enough with Tom Lee. He gave us a little bit of a clarity on his thoughts on metal. Did he get into crypto already? Hold on. Precious metals rally. Oh, wow, this is an old one. No, we don't want to get into that. I feel like there's enough hate crowd on here. I don't want to do that to you guys. All right, so what do I think about BMNR? I mean, you really got to have crypto come back for this thing to come back. And looking at the action today, Ethereum is back above $3,000, which is very good to see if you're a crypto bull. But it has a lot of work to do. It has a lot of work to do. All right, so Anthropic. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but yesterday there was a company that was up a lot. They actually had a decent sized position in Anthropic, and they were up a good amount. And that company is Zoom, and it went up. It went up after you saw the Anthropic excitement come back, bounce off the 200-day moving average. Like, wow, look right off the 200-day moving average. Moving averages matter, guys. 20% move as of the high today, since it basically bottomed on the 200-day moving average. I don't know why this stock is still public. I don't know what the bull case of Zoom is, but it looks like it's renewed now that they own a lot of Anthropic. So if Anthropic keeps going up, so does Zoom, because that means they have more money in their balance sheets, and that means their enterprise value goes down, and that means they become cheaper, right? So you got to remember that whenever that happens. Yeah, that makes the stock a little bit cheaper when that happens. So, wow, IREN is up 13% today. Crazy, crazy. See, this is another one of those scenarios where it's like you didn't need to buy here. You didn't need to buy here. You didn't need to buy here, right? Because if you bought here, you'd have to go through this. If you bought here, you'd have to go through this. Exciting. Or you could have chased it and gotten slaughtered. Or you could have waited until it broke above the 100-day moving average, until the 20-day curled up, until the 50 days curling up today, until it's trading above the 9 and 21 EMA, above the 50 EMA. Could have waited until there, and you'd still be up. So, like, let's say you didn't buy the bottom here, and you bought it here, right? So you'd be up about 30%. Let's say you bought it here after this move, you'd be up 11%. Let's say you bought it yesterday, you'd be up 13%, right? It's like you don't need to catch the bottom. You know, a lot of very smart people out there say that. All right, Stock Talk says it all the time. You don't need to catch the bottom. He's right. You don't need to catch the bottom. So, you know, I mean, look at this thing. This is crazy. How the other stuff doing? The interesting thing about IREN, I'll comment about that one in a second. Nebius is up 8% today. Hot 8 is up 8% today. Not a closing all-time high, but looks like it might be getting there. New closing all-time high for Applied Digital. Bitfarm, probably because Bitcoin is down. TeraWolf is up 9% today. CoreWeave is up 11% today. So it's trading higher than where it was after it pulled back yesterday. Core Scientific is up 4% today. Cypher is up 13% today. Like a lot of these are coming back. I think the news is that a lot of these companies have contracts with mega caps and they're expecting more deals across the table. So there was a little bit of speculation here that I'm going to share this screen. Let me go to next week's earnings. So Amazon reports earnings on Thursday next week. So that is Thursday, February 5th. And speaking of February, I'm no longer going to be streaming on my YouTube channel starting in February. So next week, I'm no longer going to stream my YouTube channel. But thankfully, all of you guys are here on the Wolf channel. So you find the right place. Thank you for coming here. This is where I'm going to be streaming exclusively. I'll probably post some clips and stuff on my YouTube channel. But like, if you want to watch a show, you got to come in this one, which you guys are already doing. It's a good job. So Amazon is reporting next week on Thursday, the 5th. And IREN moved their earnings date ahead. Okay, so they're actually supposed to report, I think, the second week of February, basically going back a quarter after the previous earnings. And they moved the date up to the same day as Amazon. Why? I don't know. But there's speculation there's going to be another announcement. So I believe they already had an announcement with AWS. Hold on. Yes, so they already had. Oh, no, that was Microsoft. I keep forgetting because there's so many deals that were announced back then. But there's a lot of speculation that there's going to be an AWS deal with IREN coming up. And they're expecting to add about 4 to 5 gigawatts capacity in 2026 from AWS. So if they do add that capacity, they can't do it themselves. They're going to need help. And there's speculation that IREN is going to be the beneficiary of that, and that IREN's going to go to $100. So, guys, I would say for myself, I already have position IREN. It's bigger now than where it was before when it was down to $30, which is great. But I already built my position with IREN. I'm not looking to increase the size of this position. I'm not looking to speculate on the stock move or where it's going to be trading next week. I'm looking to just get the long-term gain of it. And it's a very volatile stock. Like, I don't want to be so hard pressed about how the stock is moving day to day, because I'd rather focus more on like concentration than anything. And it's very hard for me to concentrate in a stock with IREN when like you can't price it on today's valuation. You just have to look at the secular theme with it. And I'm bullish it, right? I still own my position in it, but I'm not going to add to it. I already have my position built out. I think I'm green now, which is good to see. Yeah, I was green when it went above $50. So we'll see. I'm probably going to stream IREN and Cypher next week. I have to take a look at the times. IREN is going to be on Thursday next week. So I'm probably going to be an OMEX stream for that one because that's Amazon, largest position in the portfolio. And Cypher, when does Cypher report over here? So Cypher. Cypher reports on February 24th. Yeah, IREN definitely moved their earnings date ahead of time because they were not supposed to report that early. What do you think about copper as a play? Been debating on leaps on FCX. I don't know. I mentioned this before. For me, if I were to buy some copper, I just buy like shares of the miners or of just that miner specifically. But it's been on a big run. So you got to know what you own before you buy something like this after it's made such a huge move, because the reason why is because if it pulls back, like you have to hold it, right? So that's going to be your thesis. Unless, of course, it's a trade, different story. But, you know, I bought plenty of things after they've ran and it's pulled back and I've held it, right? But I've also bought things that ran and my conviction was borrowed. And when it pulled back, I sold it and I missed out, right? So that's happened to me many times. So, I mean, you really got to know what you own. Like I started buying Reddit back in before April, I think March. I bought it around $120 and the stock went as low as $82 and I kept adding, right? And then ultimately I sold Reddit around like $160. So it's trading higher than where it was before, but that's fine. I shifted those into AppLovin, which did a lot better. But the thing is that if you're buying something for long term, like you have to expect it to go down. Like you can't, let's be realistic here. Like very little people are successful at calling the bottoms for everything, right? In fact, no one is successful at doing that. So like, why go in all in if it's a long-term position? If it's a long-term position, you know, you can be strategic and add in certain parts. You can just dollar cost average, right? So if you have like no idea where it's going to trade, you don't know any TA, and you have a long time horizon, like 20, 30 years, or if I were, right, I'll just DCA into stuff, but I don't. I'm here for entertainment. I'm here to perform at alpha. I'm here to outperform the stock market. So I'm going to want to be strategic with where I buy, how much size I put in. But, you know, for anyone, or if I were new to this game, I would probably just DCA just to make things easy. And then over time, build a set portfolio where you are doing the trading in. And then as you gain more confidence, then start to increase the size of that portfolio and start to become more risky, right? But until then, like, you're not going to become a pro overnight and expect to call the bottom of a lot of these stocks. All right, so we have, we went over Anthropic, and we also went over DigitalOcean and Cloudflare. I actually commented a little bit more on that this morning on my Twitter. So if I go back on my Twitter, let me share my screen. Hold on. All right. So if I go back in this tweet that I posted yesterday, whoops, here we go. All right. So Cloudflare isn't cheap. This was yesterday, by the way. So the thing is up like 10% today, right? So Cloudflare isn't cheap, but it's also not widely mispriced when you frame it through the lens of AI inference and real-time internet traffic. Inference requires fast, low latency communication. Your device isn't just running locally. It's constantly querying models in the cloud, often from providers like Anthropic, right? So that's where the bull case for Cloudflare and DigitalOcean is today, is that Anthropic is going to accelerate the need for inferencing, right? If you're running Claude Cowork, or if you're running Claude Work, whatever it's called, you're not running all of those queries locally. You're executing it locally, but you're not running all of them locally. It's running on their cloud, on their LLM, right? So you're going to need that fast communication, and this is going to scale up, right? So it's going to get a lot more demanding. So you need to have the infrastructure in place, and Cloudflare does that. They operate in the edge. The edge is basically a cached cluster of servers that are located near to people, where if they have the same type of query, it doesn't need to go all the way to Anthropic's databases and servers. It just goes to the edge, which Cloudflare provides. And so does DigitalOcean. They do that as well, right? So that's the reason why these are running pretty dramatically in the last couple of days, because the market's recognizing that. So it's kind of the same narrative with DigitalOcean, right? This is the reason why these are working. But I think the theme for this year is inference, right? That's actually been the theme for quite some time, but it's becoming increasingly important as AI continues to scale out. So keep an eye out for that one. If you don't already own a position in Cloudflare, then you got to know what you own if you're planning on buying over here. Same story. Same story as is all the time, guys. But anyways, we're here sitting at 12:40-ish, or sorry, 3:40-ish my time. I wanted to take a look at something real quick, because I know a lot of you guys are planning on going to New York next week for Amit's get-together. I'm planning on being there. I was actually looking at the weather this morning. So let's see here. So if I go to LA, all right, I live in LA. I don't live in Burbank, so don't track me. But if I look over here, it's 70 degrees outside, guys. Like, it's 70 degrees outside, and it was cold this morning. Okay, shoot me, guys. The low this morning was 53 degrees. I think that's cold. This is why I left New York, because I just hate the cold weather. I don't know why I'm going there again, but whatever. I always end up there every year somehow. I always end up there every year. So 70 degrees. Hey, what's the weather like this weekend in LA? Well, I mean, looking like 84 degrees in LA this weekend. Things are looking pretty nice. And let's see. So New York City is where the meetups in New Jersey. New York City is where it is this weekend. And it's 23 degrees in New York. Geez, I'm glad I'm not in New York right now. I would not want to be in New York right now. Like, that's crazy. I don't know why would I want to sit in 23-degree weather? I don't know. If you guys like that, and good for you. That's great. Me personally, I'm not a fan of that. The low of tonight. Let's see here. The low of tonight is 15 degrees in New York. What's it looking like this weekend in New York? Let's see what I'm going to deal with. All right, this weekend. It's going to be 26 degrees on Sunday. There's going to be light snow in the morning. There's a 42% chance of snowing on Sunday. Why am I putting myself through this? I'm actually arriving there on Friday afternoon, and the low on Friday night is 7 degrees. Sam, why are you putting yourself through this? I don't know. But I'm gonna go. Like I was actually telling myself, look, if there's a snowstorm that weekend, I'm canceling that trip. But it looks like we lucked out. There is not a snowstorm next week. So if you are going to be going to Amit's get together, go ahead and sign up. I will be there. Plus, a lot of cool people are going to be there as well. I'm trying to put up this tweet that he had with the meetup. Can't exactly find it. Here it is. Share this tab, right? So this is on February 1st from 12 to 6 p.m. Eastern. I'll be there for the whole event. Probably going to hang out with the crew that weekend. So that's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be my first time meeting a lot of these people. I've never actually been at an event before. I've actually never met Amit before. I've never met Chris before. I've never met Steve before in person, but I've talked to them for years now, right? So looking forward to it. And I'll see you guys there if you are going to be there, right? So it'll be fun times. And hold on. What is this here? Oh, wow. Michigan is pretty bad, dude. Wow. Minus 15. That is ungodly. Wow. Toronto. Yeah, Toronto's pretty bad. Have you ever calculated your total short-term capital gains rate, including federal? Is it around 50%? So short-term capital gains for me, is that a trick question? 50%? I wish it was 50%. Wouldn't that mean that I have to make like $5 million a year or something, or some crazy ungodly amount? Be like high net worth. I wish I had to pay that much. I do not pay that much in taxes. My short-term capital gains for this year is actually, I think I'm negative right now. And the reason why it's negative is because I'm up like 30% year to date, and I haven't sold a lot of stuff. And the thing that's negative are short-term trades. Actually, no, I think it's up. It's up very small, but I've barely made any moves this year. I sold out of Adobe. I sold out of Path. And yeah, I think that's the reason why it's negative, because I sold out of those two at losses. I'll probably get in Path at some point, but I want to see some recovery there. Adobe, I don't know if I'm going to get back to that one. I think I borrowed a lot of conviction in that one. We'll see. I mean, even at this point in the game, like, you still make mistakes, right? And I think that I might have pulled the trigger a little too quickly on Adobe. I didn't think that it was going to get slaughtered like this. I certainly did not know, but things happen. So yeah, I think my short term, I think I'm about break even, because I had a couple of successful trades earlier in the year when I was trading on the volume, but there has not been much volume lately. I've just been holding on to stuff for the most part. So that's Zeta, which I'm still green on pretty nicely. On Semiconductor does not stop going up. Amcor is doing great, and I have a bunch of other positions that are doing well. Amazon's green on the year, which is great. Meta has been doing pretty well lately, so things are doing pretty good. Rubric is down a lot, and I don't know what to do with that one. I'm going to hold on to it though, but am I going to add yet? No, I'm not going to add. I'm just going to hold on to position. It's already built out. There's no reason to. Grab, I haven't sold anything, so that's not a negative capital gain, but still sitting in the green in that one, so we'll see. But yeah, guys, that is about it. Thank you for tuning into the Solid Reports here on the Wolf Financial Channel. I'm going to jump onto Stocks and Spaces. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Again, Wolf_Financial YouTube. Appreciate